Hey y'all, it's Sunday, and of course, it is Soul Sunday with me and Allison. So let me just see if I can invite Allison on, and we can get started. While I'm waiting for you all to start watching. Yes, I hope you all had. Hey Allison, I'm about to add you. Sending an invite now. Of course, y'all know Allison wasn't with us last week because she wasn't feeling good, but she was feeling so much better this week. Girl, where you at?
Hi.
Well,
Don't ask. I'll be out here on Christmas Eve. I didn't want to be. And we're going to do this in my car.
that's okay. Everybody understand. Everybody doing last minute runs right now, taking care of stuff.
Yes.
So, hey, thank you for watching. I appreciate you all for watching. So, I'm Ruby D, the Goddess Entrepreneur, and I am the author of The Goddess Grind. We grind with one eye open, first elevation, and currently working on The Goddess Grind. We grind according to law, the second elevation, which will be available in March of next year. And then we have,
Peace and blessings, guys. This is Allison with Be Still and Move, the organization that's been designed to help you heal, grow, and live beyond that relationship status by becoming better, not bitter, and enjoying your life along the journey. Welcome to everybody. And I'm loving those
hey,
glasses.
Lonnie. Girl, thank you. I be getting surprises in the mail, and I was glad I got them. I was like, I love them. I'm gonna have to wear them. So, shout out to
Yes.
Miss Cameo for making one. Miss Nikki Nicole. She go by so many different names of Sunny Night Designs. She created these frames, these copper frames for me with an amethyst, which is one of my favorite stones because it's purple, and I love purple. But we know, of course, tomorrow is Christmas. So if you all are tuning in, we really appreciate it because you could be somewhere doing so many other things right now. But of course, this is Soul Sunday with Ruby and Allison. And as I stated last week, Allison wasn't with us because she wasn't feeling well. But the topic last week was effective communication with self. And of course, this usually runs about an hour, which last week I think it was just a little over 30 minutes. But I knew Allison would have so much that she wanted to share with us that we just had to do a part two so she could get a chance to share her thoughts as well as us being able to go a little more in depth with it as far as effective communication when it comes to relationships, friends, family, and business relationships. So
Yes.
now we have part two.
Oh,
Now, just to kind of recap a little bit, with last week I did go over what communication was, effective communication was, and what miscommunication is. So I'm just going to recap that real quick. Communication is, where did I put it? The imparting or exchanging of information or news. It says nothing about effective. As long as you can say what you got to say, is basically verbalizing an idea or thought from one party to another, and that's pretty much it. Being the definition of effective is successful in producing a desired intent or result. And the example that I gave was if you were, I just stuck my finger through the frame like this. But the example that I gave was if you were given directions, you can give directions or you can give effective directions. And in order, for the person to reach their destination successfully, then you would give effective directions so they know exactly where they're going. If you
mhm.
just gave some old, regular directions, you like, go up there, make a right, make a left, blah, 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 this and that, they might get lost. And that is definitely not your intended purpose or end result. And then the definition of miscommunication was failure to communicate adequately. And that just causes all kind of opportunities for everything to be misconstrued, everything to be heard wrong, to be communicated wrong, and just all kind of issues. So this is why effective communication is important. So I'm just going to kind of stop right there and let Allison go ahead and start putting her 2 cents. Is she stuck? I lost her just that quick. Let me invite her back. I'm sorry, y'all. Like she said, she was in her car and she was actually out and about when she's normally at home. Um, when we do this Soul Sunday each Sunday. So I'm just waiting for her to come back on. I see. See if you can I don't know. Let me see if I can scroll back up and send you another invite. Ah, there we go. There we go.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
It's okay, girl. We good.
Okay.
We good. We got you. But I left off at, we're gonna go to Allison and see what her input is as far as communication versus effective communication and start there.
Well, mine is similar to yours. I've learned to, keep it really simple when we try to talk about the difference between those two, because you can get pretty deep on it if you want to, but the thing is, communication is just the ability to talk. Communication means you know how to open your mouth and use words and form sentences and all this other stuff, and you know how to listen, you know how to respond
Right.
back. But effective communication is, it starts with how interested are you in both learning as well as teaching in any situation.
Right.
Are you someone who just likes
Mm-hmm.
to hear yourself talk, or are you someone who really just wants to learn? Do you feel that you know everything, or have you humbled yourself and evolved into realizing that we should always be in a state of learning? If you can always remind yourself that we will always be learning and we will always be growing, then you will always allow yourself, your energy, your spirit, and everything about you to stay in a place where you know that there is going to be someone who may know less than you, but you're humble enough to bring them up.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also well aware that there'll be someone who knows more than you. And so you'll stay humble enough to learn from
Right.
them. So that's what the difference is to me.
All right. So y'all got that? Y'all got y'all notebooks? Y'all writing stuff down? Hey, ladies, thank you for watching. Hey, Miss Worthy. Hey, Miss Evans.
What's up, Sadie?
And just to
What's
give
up,
a quick,
Tate?
today's Soul Sunday topic is effective communication with self part 2. And in this particular, for today, we're basically going to venture more into effective communication as far as your relationships, friendships, family, and business relationships. So if you didn't catch last week's Soul Sunday, definitely watch that, because a lot of this stuff I'm not going to go over again. You should have watched it. You can go back and watch it. It's just that
You
simple.
had a whole week.
Right. You know what? I'll share the video. I'll go back in my feed because I know I post a lot, but I'll share the video so you all can go back and watch it. But effective communication when it comes to, we'll go ahead and start with self here.
Mm-hmm.
If you are effectively communicating with yourself, meaning you are effectively listening to yourself, such as following your intuition, you are giving yourself the opportunity to feel, the opportunity to be emotional, the opportunity to balance your chakras, so that way when it comes to discernment, you're able to differentiate between what you want and what you don't want. But when you effectively communicate with yourself, you know exactly what it is you want, what it is you desire, and what it is that you need, so that when those things come into your life that's not going to be beneficial to that, you can go ahead and just be like, you know what, this is not even what I want. I'm just going to leave that alone and keep it moving. A lot of us don't do that. We pretend like discernment doesn't exist, and then when we're in a situation that we shouldn't be in, and you like, I knew I shouldn't have been in this situation. I knew this wasn't for me. This opportunity wasn't for me, or something like that. Now you're trying to figure out, you're wasting energy on something that you shouldn't have been wasting energy on in the first place. So now you got to clean that up, and you've just wasted time that you could have been using to pursue what you really wanted to do. And not only does that apply to you, by yourself, It applies to the people that you let into your life intimately, as far as friendships, as far as business relationships, and as far as those connections you allow to continue to be there within your family. Everybody in your family is not good for you. Every business opportunity is not made for you. And of course, I don't know why we think, well, some of us think that simply because we meet somebody of the opposite sex, we have to look at them as potentially being a mate. That's not always the case. 9 times out of 10, you should just focus on trying to be a good friend or being a good individual. And if it goes in that direction, then just let it be. But you shouldn't start out that way. What's your thoughts, Allison?
So the biggest thing with communication with self, and you'll hear me pepper this throughout the different relationships that we talk about. The biggest thing with effective communication with yourself is you have to learn that it's okay to trust yourself, even if you have made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have to learn the value of that intuition, of that discernment. Now,
Right.
what I have found is people don't have issues communicating with themselves. It's usually self-built roadblocks, mentally, emotionally, whatever. And what I mean by those roadblocks
Mm-hmm.
are, well, what I want might not be out here anymore. Maybe the type of thing that I want, or the type of relationship that I want, or whatever it is, we come up with all
Yeah.
these reasons why what we want may not necessarily be available to us. So it's not that we don't know what we want. We just let time, our age, the fact that it hasn't happened, the fact that it's taken longer, the fact that we've been disappointed or discouraged or lied to or whatever, we look at all of that in totality. And then some of us will go so far as to look at other people that we think are good and kind, and how they don't have the things that we want. And we begin to tell ourselves, well, maybe what you want needs to be adjusted. Maybe what you want isn't out there. Maybe what you want needs to be fixed a little bit. And to some extent, yes,
Right.
you do need to learn compromise. There's a difference between compromise and settling, but you have to start
Mm-hmm.
at a level playing field. There are some things that you have to decide and know for yourself that you cannot compromise on. And there's a difference. Some people are okay with open relationships, for example. I'm not. I don't share penis. I never will. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not interested. You're never going to be able to talk me into why it's a good thing for the Black community. I'm not doing it. That is one of my non-negotiables. And so it doesn't matter how long I have to go or how many people I meet that are down for that life. That's one of those things that I'm okay. If I end up alone because I don't agree with this thing, then so be it. And
Mm-hmm.
we all have those things, not just in
Right.
relationships, but it starts with, what makes you feel lighter, and what brings your energy level down. Those things that bring your energy level
Exactly.
down are your non-negotiables. Stop trying to talk yourself into being okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
What's up,
I
Melissa? What's
absolutely
up,
agree.
Lyric?
Right. Hey, Jazz. Hey, sis. Thank you for watching. And quickly, if you all feel that anything that we're saying is beneficial, please be sure to share, be sure
Yes.
to invite.
Yes.
If you have any questions, please ask. If you have any comments, any suggestions, any feedback, engagement, or anything, just put it below
Yes.
and we will get
And
to
send
it.
us some hearts if you're
But
watching. We like hearts. Send us
right,
hearts.
some hearts, some likes. Make sure you know that little notification button. Make sure you turn it on
Yes.
so that every Sunday when we go live, then y'all will know when we're here for Soul Sunday. You can make sure you tune in. But Allison, as you were talking, um, miseducation of self came to mind when you were
Mm-hmm.
talking about don't listen to what everybody else says, what everybody else thinks, what everybody else is telling you, the advice that other people are giving you, because they don't know how you feel, they don't know what you think, they don't know the specifics of a particular situation in order to give you feedback that's going to be beneficial for you. The only person that's going to know that is you. I don't care how you try to explain it to them, how you try to communicate it to them, they just will not understand. And so, therefore, you have to become comfortable with, following your discernment knowing what's for you, and making decisions from there. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, pretty much with self, effective communication with self is it's pretty simple. I mean, we're not going to make this topic any more difficult than it has to be because it's not difficult at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a lot to it. It's just talking about it
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we're in, I don't know if it's the end of cuffing season, the middle of cuffing season, if cuffing season about to be over. I don't know. I'm not familiar with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I just see it on Facebook and I know it's, uh-oh, y'all better get ready. It's something's coming up and you're going to get picked or you're not going to get picked. I don't know. But um, being that it's somewhat cuffing season,
Mm-hmm.
I ain't trying to get cuffed for a season. I'm trying to get cuffed for life, me personally. That's my goal.
Me too.
But when it comes to these relationships and communication, um, I I kind of skirt around relationships because I really don't like to give relationship advice. If anything, I say focus on you. And once you get to where you need to be, then your relationship is going to be so much better because you're going to attract the same thing that you are. And if you're fixed and he's fixed, then y'all just gonna be fixed together. But a lot of people fail to communicate. Well, sometimes when they say what we have here is a failure to communicate, not only that, but a failure to communicate effectively. And then you get in these relationships or these situationships where you all haven't clearly communicated what your expectations are, what your standards are, what your boundaries are. And nine times, well, I'm not going to say 9 times out of 10. Sometimes you don't even clearly know what your expectations are. You don't know what your standards are, and you don't know what your boundaries are because you haven't set them. You haven't clearly defined that information for yourself. So you're unable to communicate that information to anybody else. And that's something we all need to work on, to some degree, some more than others. But with effectively listening to your intuition, what it is that you want and why you want it. And we just lost Allison again, but that's okay because I'm going to keep inviting her and we just going to keep getting her back on. We're going to keep it moving. But like I was saying, in these relationships, we have to effectively communicate with one another so it's clear what we want. A lot of people say, well, I have problems in my relationship, or well, they like to say they have problems in their relationships. Me, I don't. You know what? I don't think there are relationship problems for the most part. I look at them as personal problems that you bring into the relationship that you should have handled before you got into that relationship. And I'm inviting Allison. I'm waiting for her to come back. But until she comes back, um, hey, Demario, yes, communication. No, effective communication is important. That's what we're talking about, effective communication. But if you're not effectively communicating what it is that you want to yourself, then there's no way that you can convey that information to somebody else. And not only is that for emotional, well, it applies to the emotional aspect of the relationship, the mental, the spiritual, as well as the physical. So, and I'm still waiting on Allison. Allison, did you get the invite? But I'm going to keep talking till you come back. And I know Allison has plenty to say. Let me cancel it and resend it. Because I know you. We got to get your input. Okay, there you go.
I'm back. That one was my fault. My son calling in and he knows I'm using my phone. I'm like, dude, you keep cutting my connection. Stop it. Okay. What's
You silly girl. Okay, so of course I was talking about effective communication and relationships.
Yes.
So you can go ahead and put in your $1.25 real quick.
All right, so here's my thing. I think Ruby and I, when it comes to relationship topics, I think that we have the same heart and the same intentions, and I think that we just come from different plateaus. And so I think the benefit that you get from listening to us is, based off of where you are, something I say will click, something she says will click, and it's our hope that together you'll just get this whole thing in totality. And so when we're talking
Right.
about the effective communication in relationships, I do agree with Ruby that she's a very strong proponent that there are no relationship issues. What I have seen on my end, in addition to that mindset, is that we have to always remember balance. That's the big thing. We have people who are learning how to communicate with themselves, but they in turn end up allowing that to go into the realm of, now I'm only concerned about my needs. And that's not
Mm-hmm.
the purpose of learning how to effectively communicate with yourself. If you get to the point where the only needs that matter are yours, and the only non-negotiables you care about are yours, and the only things that you want to see improve are related to your benefit, then you don't need to be with anyone. And so
Right.
then if you get into the other side where you've been beat up a little bit, hurt a little bit, and gone through these things, now you're at a point where you're afraid to ask for what you want. You're afraid to believe that you can have what you want. So now you get walked over. And if you're not someone who wants to get walked over, that ends up causing all of this commotion within a relationship. And so when we're talking about effective communication, you have to look at it from two sides. You can't just look at it from yours. Look at it from yours from the standpoint of, are my non-negotiables being jeopardized? Are my non-negotiables that I've taken the time to know are my non-negotiables, are they being respected? Are they being ignored?
Mm-hmm.
And is someone trying to get me to change those non-negotiables because it will suit them or make it easier? Now, once you have effectively decided that that's not what's happening, then now you have to turn on not just your perspective of life, but the other person's perspective of life. So if you came, say, from a two-parent household, let's say you're dating someone who came out of the foster system, you're not going to have the same outlook on certain things. Does that mean it won't work? No, but it doesn't mean that you're somehow better because you came from a two-parent home. It doesn't mean that they know
Mm-hmm.
nothing about dynamics and family structure and how to have a relationship, because one thing that they may have over you is the ability to be more resilient, and the ability to know exactly what kind of family they want, and the ability to also probably appreciate it more than you, since you came from it and they were deprived of it. And so you want, when you're dealing with a relationship, understand that person's background, not from the standpoint of trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out if it's better than yours or worse than yours or anything of that nature. But you have to get to the point where you're listening, you're watching, and you sincerely want to understand. And you can't do those three things
Right.
if you don't remove pride from the equation. You will be wrong. You not acknowledging it does not change that you are. Humble yourself, acknowledge that there are times that you are going to miss the mark, so that you not only can receive forgiveness, but so you can give it. Some of the most judgmental people that can't be communicated with are the people who don't think they're ever wrong. And because they don't think they're ever wrong, they have a very quick way of judging every little thing that you do to be incorrect. If they're not teachable, they're not listening, just leave them alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I have to say about that.
Y'all getting this? I just want to make sure y'all are getting this. And not only just getting it, but effectively listening
Yes.
to effectively understand what's being said.
Right.
Yeah, like Miss Beverly said, girl, you better teach. I know, right? Yes, she better. Now we're gonna come back to that relationship part of it, because I want to make sure that we touch on everything before we run out of time.
Mm-hmm.
But next we're gonna move to family. And this includes your spouse, your children, your mom, cousins, uncles, all of those people. We have to effectively communicate. That's just like you telling, okay, this it's not as simple as you telling your child go clean your room and they don't do
Right.
it. No, you effectively communicated what it is you wanted them to do, but more so from the aspect of, I know children are children and children need to stay in their place, but they're still human beings. They still have thoughts. They still have feelings. And we have to allow them to be those humans that they are so that when they get older, they don't have a problem with effectively communicating as adults. Hey, James. James said communication is sadly a lost art. No doubt. Exactly. I mean, and like I said, I always effective
Mm-hmm.
communication. I'm always going to throw that out there.
Mm-hmm.
But um yeah, when it comes to the children and when it comes to, the babies, I mean, even me, when I was growing up, I would say something and I done got popped in the mouth plenty of times. I done got go, go in the room. This ain't got nothing to do with you. What did I say?
Mm-hmm.
Don't question me, blah, 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 this and this and that. So yeah, I got it a lot as a child. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
I came from a single parent home. I love my mom. My uncle was always there. So
Mm-hmm.
I had a male, a father figure there. And, he made sure that, he effectively communicated, don't you have no kids? That's why I ain't got nothing now because of him. Now, let me stop. But, um, I grew up to become, I'm a thinker
Mm-hmm.
and I'm an individual thinker. So that's why I'm like I am. It's not a lot that's like me because it's a lot of us because when we were children and we were not allowed to communicate and talk about our feelings and all of this good stuff, then now that we're adults, we still can't do it.
Yeah.
And we clearly see the effects of that.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of that, now that some of us are adults, we do that same thing to our children.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And some of us are not conscious of it, but it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Tate says, I believe communication is tough in a relationship because you simply don't want to hurt feelings. This could be to a fault. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to say the wrong thing. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, especially if you no longer want to be with a person after being with them for so long, and you just don't know how to tell them. But if you start the relationship off communicating effectively, then at that particular point, it shouldn't be that big of a problem if you all have been communicating throughout the whole relationship. Um, well, they said children are made to be seen and not heard. This caused a lot of hurt. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It has caused a lot of hurt, but I'm not going to say children are made to be seen and not heard. It's some parents that I've actually had as clients that I've talked to. It's all right, Tate. I know what you meant. I know what you meant. But it's some parents that I've talked to when I do my chakra consultations and and speaking with them and balancing their chakras and trying to figure out what it is that they want to do. They say, well, I want to do this and I want to do that. And then like one, client specifically, she said she wanted to move to a different, state or a different location. And when I asked her why she hadn't done it, she was like, well, I'm worried about my daughter and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, did you ask your daughter how she felt about it? And she was like, yeah. And what did she say? Well, my daughter said, if you want to move, we can move. I'll make new friends and whatnot. But, this is a child. And here it is, a child is just being more, she's not allowing that gray area to keep her from making a decision as simple as moving from one place to another. And we have to realize that even though they're children, they don't have jaded realities. They don't have all of these other factors that they have to take into account, and they can just give you a simple direct answer. They don't have to worry about going to work. They don't have to worry about paying bills. It's a lot of stuff that they don't have to worry about, where if you just ask them a simple question, they're going to give you a simple answer, and that's it. So I mean, of course you're not just going to go to them with all your business, but there's there's a silver lining in
Mm-hmm.
that simplicity that they possess. They're just not, out here being bombarded with everything that we are as adults.
I agree.
Okay, Allison, I've been talking for a minute. I'm gonna let you.
I was being taught. I'm good. All right, so effective communication with family. One of the things that I'm really big on is whenever I get a chance, when we're talking about family, I throw this out here. The first thing that you can do, my suggestion, is start changing the definition of what your family is. Family is
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be who you consider to be closest to you. And one of the biggest issues I see is that a lot of people are automatically downloaded information that says that your family is your blood. Your family is not always your blood. You want to make
Right.
the family the people who challenge you, who tell you the truth, even when you're wrong, who have your back, who support you, whose actions and behaviors toward you line up with their words. That is your family. Those are the people that no matter how much money I make, no matter how big I get, these people are just going to see me as me. If I'm getting out of line, they're going to tell me. If I need to be challenged, they're going to do it. They're not just going to become yes men. And those are not always the same people with your bloodline. And so if you can allow yourself the grace to begin to change that definition, you're going to find that it'll be very easy to effectively communicate with those who don't fall into that real category, because you won't begin
Mm-hmm.
to speak with them the same way that you will those who do fit that category. So I just wanted to throw that out there. When we're talking about
Okay.
effectively communicating with our family, however, I'll stay on the vein that Ruby is talking about with family. And Tate was right. I heard that phrase several times. Children should be seen and not heard. I won't say that my mother did that, and I know my father didn't. I won't say my mother did it, but she was also very, very strict. And unless you did it her way, it was wrong. And so as a result of that, I spent several of my adult years having to learn to trust my own intuition, because it's a fact of life that as you learn and grow, you're going to make mistakes. I was afraid to make
Mm-hmm.
mistakes. I was afraid of making mistakes. And as a result, I became an insufferable perfectionist behind it. And so I had to allow myself to let go of some of those things that I was taught. And I think someone else needs to hear that. Parents are imperfect people because there are no perfect people. So by default, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
experience things, and they're going to teach you things that may not serve you. Eliminating those things from your life is not eliminating your parent from your life. It's eliminating that thing from your life. You don't show love by
Right.
continuing to pass on what hurts you just because it was a relative who did it. It's okay to say, I know they love me. This one thing has not served me, so I'm no longer going to pass it along. And so
Right.
one thing that I do with my son, and it's a very fine line, I'm still walking it, but one of the things that I do with him is I do allow him to speak. I do allow him to give me his opinion. I do allow him to tell me how he feels about things. I don't play well, this is what I say and it goes. Now I have moments where that's what I have to do, and I'll do it. But in
Right.
terms of making him think his whole life is to just do what I say, what I think we forget as parents sometimes is that our children come through us, but they do not belong to us. And so at some point, he's meant to
Mm-hmm.
be a man. He's meant to lead his own house. He's meant to, walk his
Right.
path. Part of his path just included coming through me. And we do have some situations where parents and children have not been able to change their relationship when the child is older, because the parent never gave the child a chance to really see them as more than an authoritative figure. I do want my son to respect
Mm-hmm.
me. I do want my son to know that I do have a different role in his life than other people. At the same time, I know that at some point we're going to go from mother son to friend. And
Right.
if I'm not allowing him to feel that he can open up to me, because that's a friend, y'all. A friend is the person that you go and open up to, the person that comes to you, the person that knows that your relationship with your child will get to that role, because at 18, they don't have to listen to you anymore. And if that's what you based your whole relationship on, you communicating and you
Mm-hmm.
telling and them doing, you've never learned how to communicate. So once they're 18 and they don't
Right.
have to listen to you, they no longer have a relationship with you, because the only part of the relationship that you focused on was you telling them what to do and them following it. So it does involve a
Right.
balance. You don't want your child to become someone who is entitled or spoiled or disrespectful and doesn't understand how to respect their elders. I don't want those things either. But I do want my son to understand that his voice does matter. His 11-year-old voice matters. His voice is not going to become important at 18. It is important now because it's been given to him now. And by allowing him to communicate now, I can show him ways that he needs to adjust. And so that's just, my suggestion if you're dealing with children, but it will also work with family members. You have to know that
Right.
they have their own lives. Big Mama isn't just supposed to make you a pie when you feel bad. Big Mama had a life. She did. And maybe it would behoove you to sit down and hear about life before she became Big Mama, because there's some wisdom there. There really
Right.
is, that you can take with you, and maybe it will propel you to get further along or get where you need to get faster than she or he did, because you take that time to just listen and not just have these preconceived ideas about what they can teach you based off of what their quote unquote role is in your life. I think that's enough.
Right.
I'm good.
Okay. And even with you saying that, we also have to realize that as children, our parents are the first people that we have relationships with and that we experience communicating with. And then once we leave the house, all of that spills over into every other aspect of our life. So if you didn't teach us how to effectively communicate as children, guess what's going to happen once we leave the house? You're not going to know how to effectively communicate with anybody
That's right.
because that's not what you know.
Exactly.
And then you get into these relationships where you scared you might hurt somebody's feelings. And then, you have these friendships where you can't even, effectively communicate what your expectations are, and you just going along because you just completely clueless as to what to say and how to say it. And then that kind of spills over into when you start working, when you start owning these businesses, you don't know how to talk to people,
Mm-mm.
and then you upset because your business is not successful.
Yep.
So on that note, we're gonna, move on to business relationships, whether it be you working at a job, or you have a career, or either you have your own business, but you have to learn how to effectively communicate with your boss, with your employees, with your customers,
Mm-hmm.
with people, with vendors or suppliers that you work with.
Good point.
Um, Tate
Yeah.
says, how are we supposed to do a speech when your parents have told you shut the heck up your entire life? You know what? He's so silly.
He is.
But you have to be able to effectively communicate with the employees. How are they supposed to know what their job duty is if you can't effectively communicate it to them? Or if you have customers and they have problems, how are you supposed to, communicate to them, information that they need to know? Advise them on your product and how it works and what to expect, especially if you're a mentor or a coach or a counselor or a therapist of some sort. If you can't communicate, how do you expect to build a prosperous business
Mm-hmm.
when you can't talk?
Mm-hmm.
Or either, of course, if you're using a vendor or a supplier, if they don't fully understand what it is that you want for your business and they mess up the order because you didn't effectively communicate what it is that you needed, whose fault is that? Or even in business partnerships, if you have a business partner and y'all never see eye to eye, why, that is just going to be a travesty all in itself. So again, effective communication, it does flow into every aspect of our life, including businesses, when we have our careers and when we're entrepreneurs. But, you just have to keep in mind that, and I remember one, I don't remember which one it was, but Allison said, as far as businesses, black businesses, you can't expect just having the name black in front of it to make your business credible or prosperous or make people want to just come to you because of that. No, You have to learn how to effectively communicate. You have to have a good product. You can't just ride on that alone.
Right.
So, really when it comes to business and professional, that whole effective communication, that's really all I got. You just
Mm-hmm.
need to learn how to talk to people and learn how to conduct business, talk to customers and stuff like that. If you don't, then I'm sorry, you're gonna have some major issues when it comes to running your business or
Very true.
keeping a job.
Mm-hmm.
So what you think?
Okay. Well, so with with the, I'm sorry, that amethyst, I'm just,
I'm sorry, girl. I be this right here. I be thinking.
yes,
This is like meditation for me right now, and this is,
it's coming
girl. You
through.
don't know how I
It,
got
it's
here feeling.
it's just coming through. So I'm gonna leave that at that. All right. So with the effective communication with business, and I, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that it's going to work in every area. Relationships, family too, but you've got to have the right level of tone, wisdom, and patience. Now, if you're dealing with a business partner, yes, you need to know very clearly what is your vision for the business. What do you want to see the business do? And
Right.
you want to make sure that that person either shares that vision or has a vision that can easily be blended together so that neither of you are wasting time and not seeing your goals fulfilled. And
Right.
I believe, and Ruby can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that that's also something she did when she came up with the idea to do this Facebook Live, and then wanted to wait and see who she thought would be best suited to go with her. She took the time. She didn't
Right.
just say, I want to do it and I'm just going to pick somebody because I just want to do it. She was like, no, what do I want this to do? What mission do I want this to be? What purpose am I serving?
Exactly.
Okay, now who do I think will be able to help me do this as well? And so when you're doing a business partnership, sometimes you do have to slow down. You can sometimes get the
Mm-hmm.
idea before you get the plan. And if you don't wait for the plan that matches up with the idea, it's going to blow up, not in a good way. So make sure that everything is dotted and crossed, and that you genuinely have people, and that you've taken the time to make sure that you have the right people to do business with. Because again, we go back to that, the communication and the relationship involving two people. Business relationship, if you are truly a partner, it's not just about your vision. It's also about what the person who is partnering with you can potentially get out of it for their business and their goal. So you want to make sure that you have that. And in terms of the tone and the wisdom, you just having a smart mouth is not an excuse. You coming from
Mm-hmm.
a bad childhood is not an excuse. You having a lot going on in your life is not an excuse. For the 5 or 10 minutes that someone is in your business, or that someone is working with you, especially if it's someone who is paying you for a service, you don't get to decide that you want to be a jerk because you've had a bad day. You don't get to decide that you want to go off or be rude or be disrespectful or, call folk out. You don't get the right to do that, because as a business owner, you're being held to a higher standard. And you
Right.
have to accept that before you accept the perks of being your own boss. And if you don't know how to handle the power of being your own boss, you're going to go back to being someone's employee, whether you want to or not. You've got to learn that there is a time and a way and a place to talk to people. Maybe
Right.
you see that someone is doing something that they shouldn't business wise. Sometimes we can see that someone needs to be corrected before the opportunity is there. If you decide to tell someone something just because you know it's the right thing, but you haven't waited to see that if it's the right time for them to receive it, then at this point you're being a bully. Some people may not agree. That's cool. You're being a bully, and you're not being effective in how you're communicating. And that's one of the things that
Right.
I know has helped me. I can sometimes see several months to almost a year ahead that something someone is doing is wrong. And some people may say, well, you gave them a year to keep screwing up. No, I gave them a year to grow into hearing what I had to say. And
Exactly.
there's a difference between the two. When they're ready to hear what I have to say, it's going to help them. If I say it just because I feel like it's the right thing to say, I'm not an order, even if it was the right thing to say. So you have to ask yourself, in business, with the partnerships and all these other things, is the business more important than how I feel right now? Is the goal that I have for
Mm-hmm.
the business more important than how I feel right now? Because you can go off on people all day long. They don't have to come back to you. They don't have to promote you. They don't have to support you. You're
Exactly.
not entitled to any of that. And if you decide to treat people like you don't need them, guess what? They're going to let you be without them.
Right.
They just will. And
And that's all right.
you have to accept that. Humble yourself. I'm going to keep saying that. Humble yourself. Get out of your pride. Get out of your arrogance. Get out of your feelings. Get out of your childhood. Get out of all that stuff. And just run the doggone business like an adult, a grown up. All right, I'm done.
The time and place for
Everything.
everything. Trust me. When you need to utilize your emotion, when you need to be in your feelings about your business, you will know when you need to be in your business about your feelings. And when
Yes.
you don't need to be in them, you know when you don't need to be in them. And if
Yes.
you don't, then maybe you don't need to have a business until you're able to find out.
Exactly.
Tate said, Black businesses need to learn how to do business first.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yes.
He also says, when I order a product or service, I don't care if you have to pick your daughter up from school or your third cousin got shot. Where is what I ordered?
Really, Tate?
He's just being honest.
He is.
And we know
He
me
is.
and Allison really appreciate your engagement
Yes.
because you've been working with us from the beginning almost. We really appreciate it.
Yes, he is.
Hey, thank you for watching. Again, if you all feel like anything that we're saying is beneficial, not only to you, but to
Mm-hmm.
some other people, please feel free to share.
Yes, please do.
Share this video. Now, of course, listening to Allison, I'm sure we bounce back and forth off of each other all the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
But people like to say, when you come to work, make sure you leave all your personal outside or don't bring your personal in. Of course, I say you can't separate personal from business because it comes from the same source. So
Right.
it's still going to affect you. You can't pretend like it doesn't work.
Exactly.
But then at the same time, you can't pick and choose when that's applicable.
Right.
It can't be applicable when you go to work and you and your boo done got into it that morning and now you mad all day,
Yep.
but you don't want it, to affect your day. But then at the same time, when somebody come to your website and order something and you ain't sending out and you get an attitude because they want to check on their shipping and tracking information, oh, now your personal life matters. No, you can't pick and choose when it apply and when it doesn't apply.
No, you can't. That's right.
But we also have to understand that effective communication also includes knowing when to shut up, knowing when not to say nothing, knowing when silence is the best policy. It doesn't take always, talking.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just have to just not even say anything
Yeah.
because sometimes the smallest thing you say can make the situation 10 times worse.
Mm-hmm.
So, just like for instance, if you scrolling on Facebook and you see something you don't agree with, you can keep scrolling. You don't
You
even
really
have
can.
to even look at hide the post.
Yes.
You ain't even got to look at the person. You ain't even got to deal with them. You can silently go block. Facebook will not let that other person know that you
Yes.
are blocked. Trust me.
Right.
But I do that a lot. I'm not even gonna lie. I do it a whole lot. Sometimes I'll be scrolling through Facebook and I just be like,
Mm-mm.
keep scrolling, just keep scrolling. They ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm just gonna stay in my lane. I ain't gonna say nothing. You know what? Let me just scroll back, block, unfollow. I do that
I
quite
do too.
often.
Me too.
And everybody else has that same privilege, trust me. But effective, Tate says, you as a Black customer got to place the order, pay, follow up, do quality service, return the item, then get attitude from the person about why you returned it. Tate, what you got going on? Because
That's a
you
lot.
are extremely verbal today. We need are you feeling a little off today? Do you need to schedule a chakra consultation after
Oh,
we get done?
come through with the plug, Ruby. Come through.
I'm just saying, you ain't got to worry about me shipping nothing to you because it's a service. So we can go ahead and handle that service right then, and you can, pay for it and receive it right then and there. You ain't got to worry about me shipping. You ain't got to worry about me getting no attitude. You ain't got to worry about my third cousin getting shot. You ain't got to worry about me taking nobody to school. None of that. But um, effective communication also includes knowing when not to say anything.
Yes, very important. Very important.
And that's for whether it's an intimate relationship, whether it's a friendship, family, business relationship. Sometimes you just, like Allison said, you really just have to hold it until the person is ready to hear it. Just like, this is a funny story. Like when I was little, my mom, she used to have drinks. And, she used to give us some. But once it got to a certain point, she'd be like, y'all can't have no more. The rest of this is mine.
Yep.
So what I used to do is when she was asleep, because she used to, when she went to sleep, she was asleep. I used to sneak in her room and take the drink so I can get me some and then put it back. Sometimes depending on how much I drunk, you have to put a little water in there to make it not look like as much gone, but it still has some fizz to it. But I didn't tell her that when I was young.
Right.
I wait until I was like, 30, and then I told her. And she was like, "You did what?"
Yep.
Oh, well, yeah.
Can't spank me now.
Well, it was a lot of stuff we didn't tell her until we got older.
Yeah.
Like, another example. She used to go to the casino and, she got 3 kids and she gonna give us $5 to go in the game room. What we gonna do with $5 between the 3 of us? We gonna play 3 games and that's
Oh, wait,
it.
$5 together? Not
then we gotta call you to get some more money. Girl, yes, we all took turns playing, but we watched each other.
Oh my God. That is too funny.
But anyway, so we call her one time and say, we go to the security card. Can you page such and such? Page my mom. Now, mind you, her name is Sharon Clark. Can you pay Sharon Clark? So she come out there. Y'all ran out of money. Okay, here go $5 more. Don't call me no more. So of course we went and played that $5, and then after that ran out, we sent somebody else. Go call Karen Clark. It wasn't Sharon Clark, but it was close enough to where once she heard it, she'll be like, was that me? And she would still get up and come.
I love it.
So, we didn't tell her that then. We waited till we got older to tell her what we did. So sometimes you just have to wait until they're ready to hear it and then let them know. And that's all I got for today.
That was too funny.
Thank you, Tay. Great topic. Great show, ladies. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
But,
Tay.
that's... we had to, make it kind of cheery and make it interesting for this Christmas Eve.
Yes.
So, but we thank you all for tuning in and watching. Tate, we really appreciate you for, sticking it out with us. You've been with us for a long time.
Yes.
Because it's been almost an hour. We try to keep it at that hour mark without going overboard. So we thank you. If you find this beneficial, please be sure to share it. But again, I'm Ruby D of Ruby D Artistry, and I'm the Goddess Entrepreneur, author of The Goddess Grind. If you want to buy the book, the link is above. We did the same thing to our parents. Wait until you get out of whooping age. I did. I told you I waited until I was about 30, and I told them.
Yep.
I waited until I was about 30. But you can visit the website, www.thegoddessgrind.com. Follow me on Instagram at Ruby D Artistry. That's Ruby with an I. And YouTube, Ruby Davidson. Allison?
Allison Denise here. You can find me on Facebook. Please join my personal page because I don't put my personal business on it. So you can join in. You can find find me on Facebook under Be Still and Move. That is the official page. If you add an exclamation point, you can then find me, find the private group where we do different topics. On Instagram and my YouTube channel, you can find me under I Will Be Still and Move. And our official website is bestillandmove.org. So make sure you sign up there. We've got some different changes that I'm holding on to until 2018 starts. So link up so that you don't miss anything.
Yes. So we pretty much gonna go ahead and wrap that up. What are we talking about next week? Wait, let me see.
Yeah.
Let me go. We still got a few minutes. So let me see what we're gonna be talking about next week. Because this week we're supposed to be talking about something else, but because I knew you just really wanted to say something,
you were right,
and I wanted to talk a little bit more about that effective communication. We had to do a part 2.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Now next week, what we gonna move on to? Soon as I find it. Soon as I find it. Girl, as soon as I find, okay, here we go. Next week, we are going to talk about becoming your own companion. Some of y'all don't know how to be cool with yourselves.
I like it.
Trust me, I know. I'll be up in here laughing and sniggling and giggling by myself, girl, rolling. Let me stop. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. But that's what we will be talking about, becoming your own companion.
All right. I'm looking forward to that.
So, yes. So, guys, it's been great. We appreciate it. Let me see. No, that's not it. We're not going to do a soul-to-soul tip this week because we're still working on our self-care challenge.
Yes.
You know what? I've been doing a whole bunch of self-care. It's not even funny. Everything from volunteering to drinking my tea to singing my music to combing my hair to working on my business. I've been doing all kind of stuff. But y'all definitely want to, get into some self-care. You know what? Let me see. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to give a self-care tip. Kate, he just laughing at me. Okay, I'm going to give you all a spiritual self-care tip or task, and it's going to be to pay it forward.
Nice.
Pay it forward. Don't give expecting to receive. Just pay it forward and leave it at that.
I like it.
So next time I go somewhere, I don't know, might have to wait till I go somewhere like you can't be going to going to the mall talking about paying it forward because you don't really know what you're paying for. But if you go to the grocery store and you see the person behind you has a couple of things, or for some of us that still eat fast food, go ahead and pay for their order. Or if you just scrolling through Facebook, I know everybody got their cash app, their cash tags out there. Just send them something or send them something via PayPal. It doesn't have to be much.
That
works. Can be 5.
I like that.
Do that. You never know.
Okay.
But you got any last words, Miss Allison? Are you done?
I do not. Just everybody, whether you celebrate this holiday or not, you probably have the day off. So enjoy it and use it wisely. Enjoy the people that love you. Don't spend it chasing. Don't spend it crying. Don't spend it wondering. Spend it with people that have made it clear that you matter to them. That's all I got.
Right. And like she said, it may not necessarily be your blood family. It might be somebody else.
That's right.
But on that note, we're going to say a Merry Christmas. And we'll wish y'all a Happy New Year next week.
Yes.
Hi, Mommy. I was just talking about you. See, she knew I was up here talking about her. She didn't crack the door. But, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and go for it. She go over here try to whoop me. See y'all next Sunday. Bye-bye.
Peace.